All right. Greetings and welcome back once again. This is Amuna, and I pray everybody is doing well. I came across this news story. Let me know how this mic is working out. I had to dig in the crates since I was getting struggle stream vibes from my last broadcast. Let me go ahead and double check this mic before I continue. And today's conversation is going to be what is a woman? I came across a documentary that recently was released, and I'm looking at some of the feedback. So I'm going to run a commercial for those who've joined us. Like, subscribe on your way in, and stay tuned as we have this discussion. What is a woman, eh? What is a woman? Let's give Yummy Cottage a little shout out before we get started. Let's introduce ourselves. We're the Yummy Cottage. Okay, this video is brought to you by the Yummy Cottage. You open your search browser, you put in the Yummy Cottage.com. Cottage.com. And then you go on over to the Yummy Cottage. And here we are. And we have seasonings. This is what our special is right now. The international pack of seasoning curry special blend with organic turmeric, Tex-Mex, Jamaican jerk. We have chicken. You man, listen. You put it on anything. You put it on your Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts are my thing right now, by the way. You put it on your tofu if that's what you eat. Your chicken alternative. You put it in your rice. You make broth, all that good stuff. So go on over to the Yummy Cottage, check us out. That's who's sponsoring the video. If you enjoyed it, press like and share and all that good stuff, and we will make another one. All right. That gave me enough time. Shout out to those who just joined us. Let's get into this. Mic seems to be working well. There should be no struggle stream vibes. Y'all making me get back into the professionalism of YouTube, but it's all good. Where am I now? So I don't even know where to start because this joint right here is crazy. I guess I'm gonna start by playing the trailer for the documentary, and then I'm gonna read a response from the people whom the documentary seemingly targets, right? Yo, this thing is hilarious. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen for the purposes of this video. So we're going to take a look or listen to the official trailer, right? So this is the official trailer. It's a documentary called What is a Woman? So let's take a listen.
What is a woman? Can you tell me that?
When I said let's take a listen, that would indicate that we could hear something. I can't hear it. Hold on.
Oh, you're at the Women's March.
Oh, come on. Don't tell me I'm about to have some issues. Let me know if not, why am I not hearing anything? Let me see something real quick. I fixed the mic and now I'm having trouble hearing. Shouldn't give any trouble hearing. Maybe because I put in a different mic. I don't know. So let me just give you an overview of the documentary because I'm not going to get off thing. So essentially, I'll read what it says. It's the question you're not allowed to ask. The documentary they don't want you to see. Don't miss Matt Walsh's What is a Woman, now streaming exclusively for Daily Wire members. So essentially, it's a documentary. This man named Matt Walsh, he goes around the world, not just America, but he goes around the world in the span of a year's time. He goes to marches, he goes to tribes in Africa, he goes to all of these places, and I've just seen the clips, but so far it's interesting. Then he speaks to doctors and he speaks to psychiatrists, and he goes all over and covers all the base. He speaks to congressmen about what is a woman, right? And so many people come up with a different response that it raises an eyebrow, right? Let me see if and why this is not playing. Hold on. Let me see if I can get it from my phone to play for you guys. So one would say it's a simple question. When you're teaching children and preschool children, when you're just starting out, these things used to be cut and dry. You know, this is black, this is white, this is up, this is down, this is a boy, this is a girl, right? But it seems that it has changed. And some people are mad. I don't know if you guys have seen that that documentary. You mad? Let me play a little bit of. Let me play a little bit of this right here. Hold on. Let me see if this is a little promo here.
With Aspen Dental Dentures,
Oh, come
all
on
they'll
now.
see is your smile. We provide exceptional care all under one roof.
Hold
I
on.
think it was about 4 years ago when I first posed the question, what is a woman? I had started focusing on the scourge of gender ideology years before that and argued against it in a million different ways, making a million different arguments in a million words or more. And somehow over those several years, it never.
So this is the voice. We're gonna listen to a little bit of the director or the producer of this documentary to hear why he felt it necessary to go around asking this question.
Occurred to me to ask the most basic question of all. I had heard the phrase trans women are women so many times, and yet for so long I never thought to respond, what does that mean? What do you think a woman is? What are you trying to say? 4 years ago, for whatever reason, it finally dawned on me. I realized I didn't need a million words, only four. What is a woman? Once I realized that this is the question, really the only question we need to ask, the question that pulls down the whole edifice of gender ideology, I started asking it and asking it more, asking it over and over again. I asked it for years on social media, in speeches and interviews. It was clear that the proponents of gender ideology, the architects of the current madness which is gripping our society, were not going to answer the question because they can't. And they had elected instead to simply ignore me, which was easy enough. So I reached a point where I realized that either I could keep shouting into the abyss. That's definitely an option. I do it all the time. Or simply give it up and move on with my life. That I can't do. I can't really.
And if for those of us who know and can see and have eyes of what's going on in society, there is a lot of stuff going on. I know certain cultural demographics tend to get stuck in, different spaces in their understanding in their life, but there's so much. There's a bigger narrative that's happening outside of that, and if we can just peek our head up just a little bit to hear the conversation that's going on beyond what do you bring to the table, because the other things, the things that are happening on a broader stage definitely affect our lives and will affect the lives of us, our children and our grandchildren, our family members. So I think this is important to stop and take a listen to this broader conversation that's happening.
Really give anything up, or I could take drastic action. And I chose the latter option. If they wouldn't answer my question, I decided that I would force their hand. And so I hatched an elaborate scheme that over the past year has taken me across the globe and
Did he say elaborate scheme, son? That's
got me
funny.
into the room with some of the leading quote unquote experts in the field. I talked to politicians, academics, pediatricians, psychiatrists, trans activists, surgeons, and many, many more. I went everywhere from San Francisco to the African wilderness. And yes, I did all of this essentially because nobody on the left would respond to my tweet. An overreaction? Yes. But I don't believe.
Yo, son, be like, oh, chill, you're not gonna respond to my tweet? Bet I'm gonna make a documentary and make you more mad. That's crazy.
Proportional responses, as you've probably noticed by now. I've had to keep this project secret for a year. Finally, we can announce it, though. We announced it today, and there's still so much that I can't say and that will be revealed in the near future. We'll have a full trailer for it in the coming weeks, but for now, here's a very quick sneak peek. Watch. I have traveled all over the world for the past year asking one simple question. What is a woman?
Simplicity. Most I use the simple to confine the wise. When we hatch elaborate theories and you can, it's a house of cards. You can't move one thing, because if you move one thing, the whole thing comes tumbling down. So the fact that he used this very basic, this very elementary question to cause this much, we're going to read the article and it's going to be a natural reaction, because I saw the article and I was like, oh, chill, there's a documentary. And then again, on a broader stage, the conversation is being had. That's why I said I wanted to talk about it. We see uproar, right? I'm like, ooh, this is funny, but not. What's going on here? Let's listen. Hold on. And then we're going to read the article. Come on, cell phone that's not cooperating with me.
What is a woman?
What is it?
What is it?
I don't know.
People are laughing. Is that a dumb question?
That's when he went to the continent. But it's interesting. I think it was a congresswoman or a Supreme Court judge elect. I forget who it was the other day. They asked that very simple question, and she started Sammy Davis Jr. tap dancing around the question. I was like, where are we? Like, what? She's like, and these are people who have gone to the highest levels of education. How have we arrived here? That's what I want to know. When did we get here? Like, who made a wrong turn?
I've been asking everybody this, and almost nobody can answer it. What is a woman? What is a woman?
That's a great question.
What in the world? That's you acting like he asked, what is the meaning of life? What in all of Socrates is going on? The ancient Greeks would have took their toga and slapped you for making this the depth of 2022. Like, that's such a profound question. What is a woman? Huh?
If one person could tell me what a woman is. Congressman, thank you for being here.
I think this interview is over.
Yo, why the congressman? He was like, congressman is like, see your way out. See your way out.
I'm gonna find out.
It's not a complicated question.
It really isn't. And basically, it came out last week. You got to sign up for Daily Mail. At first, I thought you could have signed up for the introductory one. So I did that because y'all know I'm enough. And then they were like, nah. You got to sign up for the next session. So I have to go back and look at it. But for the sake of time, we're going to look at the reaction. So that's essentially what it's about. It's really looking at the conversation of gender identity. It's looking at some of the things that we've had around athletes, being able to quote identify males identifying as females and forcing their way into women's sports, all of these politics, because it's not just about how people feel. I think the reason it was important for him to talk to doctors and talk to psychiatrists and talk to everyday people is because it's beyond an opinion. And it has made its way into politics. It's made its way into society. It's made its way forcefully into the lives of everyday people, where now, if you don't agree with pronouns, if you don't agree with how the person sees themselves, then you get to be labeled. It has been weaponized, and it's something I think oftentimes we're not talking about. So let's read this article, which is the other part of the title that I made this. And this article, they have turned June into LGBT month, right? Which is interesting. Okay, it's interesting. But this article, I saw it come across either on the feed or I saw it come across on YouTube, whatever it was. It's the dangerous deception of Matt Walsh's documentary, What is a Woman? Now, based on the people who have reviewed the documentary, they said he asked a sort of a benign question. He didn't go in like Clarence Thomas or looking to interrogate. He went asking, what is a woman? And it's interesting to see that even some people who didn't even give a time or a moment to hear the responses automatically was upset. So this person, Aaron Rook, says, we watch Matt Walsh's anti-trans propaganda so you don't have to. Spoiler alert, it's full of transphobic lies. Right now, it seems to be a war of words, right? It's a war of words. You should see the picture they picked for him. So let's read this article real quick and see what we think of it. The right-wing web is buzzing about the recent released anti-trans documentary, What is a Woman? From Daily Wire columnist Matt Walsh. Everyone else seems to be ignoring it. And while I didn't even know it existed till earlier today. And while I don't fault the many film critics who allegedly declined to review the film, I decided to run towards the dumpster fire. The person, I'm gonna stop saying they did. Ignorance can indeed be frightening, but it must be confronted. So again, the title is laced. The opening paragraph is laced. It has already colored the conversation, right? To whoever is reading it, they're already inciting them to a certain degree to agree with because it's very colorful language all in the beginning, okay? The propaganda, more colorful language, project garnered pushback even before its June 1st release, when trans activist Eli Ehrlich accused Walsh of seeking interviews under false pretense. Ehrlich, who is a founder of Student Education Project, took to Twitter in February to warn community members that the quote gender unity project was not what it seemed. I didn't know. So I don't know under what, and I would have to do the research if I was really that invested, but I would have to know under what pretense the person uh, got these interviews. It goes on, it's telling that the project's Twitter account has since been suspended and its website no longer exists. Eric's claims were confirmed by other members of the transgender community who had been contacted by people involved in the film. So the person asserts, this is some of the pushback that is happening, that Matt Walsh's crew is trying to trick trans people into joining a fake documentary. But if you're in a documentary, you have to give consent. So it may be if what they're accusing or alleging that what he told them it was about is not what it really was about. Not necessarily that they were going to appear in a documentary, because you have to get permission, people's permission. His producers set up a whole front organization at Gen Unity Project and tried to recruit the person into his next anti-trans documentary. Here's the wild story of how it went down. And then they show a picture, and that's more research that needs to be done, right? The resulting documentary is framed as an earnest inquiry into womanhood, but Walsh's anti-trans agenda is clear from the start. So the question is, was he overtly anti-trans, or are you perceiving the question that he's asking? Sometimes when somebody is sore on an issue, you can honestly or genuinely just be asking a question, and they take it offensively. So I don't know. Right now, I'm taking this claim with a grain of salt, because there is a hypersensitivity in this area. No matter how many times he repeats the central question, Walsh is really asking. So now you're inferring, now you're projecting. No matter how many times he asks the question, which is what he's asking, you're saying what he's really saying. And at that point, it's an opinion unless you can prove it. Are trans people crazy or what? See, projection, and inviting viewers to join him in his conclusion that gender transition is a threat to both individuals and society. That's interesting. Again, I think this conversation with both people who feel a kind of way should come to the table and have it for everyone to see. Because again, from what I'm getting so far, unless you can go to a specific point in the documentary or wherever where the person's like, aha, you know what I mean? Or if somebody's asking you a common sense question and you're offended, that's just on you. But if they have other malevolent reasons for asking you, then Anywho, the film opens on a birthday party scene so heavily gendered, it calls to minds, but I'm a cheerleader. Heavily gendered. What in the world? What is that supposed to mean? Boys are decked out in blue while girls are adorned in pink. See, I'm talking about how things that wouldn't necessarily be an offense are now an offense. The boy gets a football while the girl gets a tiara. In a voiceover, Walsh reminiscence about the differences between raising boys and raising girls. And then this is a quote. I got my son a BB gun, and that's about all the emotional support he needs, Walsh says. No, I mean, boys need emotional support, and give him a BB gun and send him on his way. That's crazy. While the boy in the video holds a gun, some people say there's no difference between the sexes. Those people are idiots. I'm not know who said that, but if he's saying that this is the offense, I guess they're getting real quick. The film is slickly I'm sorry, son. The shade is everything, son. He said, wait a minute, where is this thing? The film is slickly produced and includes interviews with some reputable sources, but Walsh seems more interesting in, quote, exposing, end quote, these experts than actually learning from them. He also allows his anti-transgender sources to spout off dangerous misinformation unchecked, such as it's such as what? You took the time to tell us about the heavily gendered party. So the dangerous misinformation, the next line, you should have told us what that dangerous misinformation was. It's interesting when we want to highlight something or be more specific, we have the words. But when we just want to paint a broad brush to let somebody's imagination run wild, and we don't go specifically into what these dangerous misinformation was. One part that I did see in a clip was him talking to, if it was a pediatrician or a psychotherapist, one of the two. And they were talking about hormone blockers, puberty blockers, and the medication that they give children so that their body doesn't develop. And then he asked the question if one of those medications were the same thing that they use to chemically castrate sex offenders. And let's just say the temperature in the room changed, right? So I think, sometimes when we're having this conversation, there's a whole lot that we don't see, and people are playing on our ignorance to think that something is benign when indeed there's more to it. So anyway, still Walsh seems to think he, quote, owned the libs, claiming that the supporters of transgender people can't debunk his film. And then they include a tweet. The left is terrified of the film. It's that simple. If they thought they could debunk it, they would. If they thought it was poorly made, they'll make fun of it for that. But they can't debunk it, and it's well made. So they cower and hope it goes away. That was a few days ago. Matt Walsh's blog. So far, I haven't heard any debunking or addressing. I mean, the conversation would have been done at the beginning if you just answer the question. But the reality is, when you have such a topic like this that's so variant, when you ask different people the question, because womanhood apparently now has become something that is subjective versus objective, everybody's going to have a different version of reality. And I think that's what's lending to the confusion. What's more likely, it goes on to say, is that folks are hoping to avoid giving the disingenuous and damaging film any more attention. Or they've seen it and they realize how tedious it would be to debunk every false claim. Spoiler alert, there are plentiful. Okay, so he's going to come into some claims here. So let's get some. While Walsh's film is heralded as groundbreaking by those who already oppose transgender rights, it is effectively a supercut. Yo, son, the shade on this, yo, did he say supercut? Whoever wrote this, I don't even know who wrote this. A mist of disinformation about and mockery of transgender people. What is a woman? How is that question offensive? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not trying to be funny. How is that question offensive? Makes many false claims, but none of them are new, and most are easily debunked by Google. Like Google has all of everything correct. Easily debunked by Google. Are we serious? Are we serious? I know he didn't say easily debunked by Google. Let me know how the mic is coming through. Y'all like that? You had to dig up one of the old mics. Actually, my daughter found it, and I was like, yeah, that mic used to work kind of good. Let's continue. Here are some of the film's most malignant myths. Myth number 1, trans people who medically transitioned are at increased risk of suicide. That was what he's saying, was something in the myth. In an effort to portray gender transition as dangerous, the film includes the assertion that transition makes people suicidal. This claim is likely rooted in a misinterpretation of the research promoted by anti-transgender psychiatrist Dr. Paul McHugh in 2014 Wall Street Journal op-ed. And then he goes on to quote a 2011 Swedish study he references was not designed to evaluate the efficacy of gender affirmation surgeries, and its author cautioned against such an interpretation. So he's saying, now the question would be, I don't know if you just got it off of Google, but how many people who are of this affiliation are more prone to suicide? I mean, you don't have to argue with the film. If you think it's wrong, just go out there. You have a platform, you have an ability to see whether or not there's a kernel of truth to what's being said. I don't know in what context it was said, So we would have to, myth, gender affirming surgeries are experimental and dangerous. Like some of the worst fear mongering comes from transgender man Scott Nugent, who is on a crusade against medical transition for youth. For youth. For youth? For youth. For youth. Scott Nugent said, "We have 5 children's hospitals in the United States telling girls they can be boys at 70,000 K a pop. $70,000? Follow the money. Who's paying for this stuff?" And the person went on to say, in a surgery that has a 67% complication rate. What in the world? This person goes on to say, to debunk it. In the film, Nugent says that gender affirming surgery comes with a 67% complication rate and shows the scar from his philioplasty related skin graft for dramatic effect. Philia, what is this? Philioplasty, a complex procedure, is not without risk of complications. However, rates are much lower than 67%, Nugent claims, and vary depending on the approach taken by the surgeon. Okay, so he's going. This is. Let me see here. Uh, while it's unfortunate that Nugent had a negative experience, but how did you disprove? How did you disprove this? I don't know. I'm just looking over. So is it dangerous or is it not dangerous? Do you disagree with just his 67%? I mean, I don't. It says a 2017 study found that rates of uteral complications were between 31 and 32.8% depending on the approach. I don't. Okay, let's go on. And he puts real in exceptionally rare. Anti-trans psychologist Dr. Miriam Grossman says in the film that she believes that people aren't really transgender unless they experience gender dysmorphia. A group she claims constitutes either 1 in 110,000 or 1 in 30,000 people. But even the more generous assessments vastly undercounts the number of transgender people, according to the William Institute at UCLA. At least 0.6% of the population is likely transgender, which is 200 times more than Grossman's 0.3%. And the numbers among younger generations are even higher. A recent Pew Research Center survey found that 5% of people under the age of 30 are transgender or non-binary. So basically, I don't understand how you disprove the myth. You didn't agree with the percentage, but this person is highlighting that gender dysphoria is not to the numbers that it's popping up now. So how do you prove that it is? How do you prove that it's not, that it is actually real? Like, this is just a lot of gray area. I don't know where all of this gray area came from. If a child believes in Santa Claus, they can't know they are transgender. I can't. I did see the clip on that one. That was crazy. I'm not even go through all of that. Transgender identities are a modern Western invention. It's clear that either Walsh hasn't done his homework or he doesn't want to. For all of human existence, women were understood to be a certain thing, he claims. What changed? Walsh travels all the way to Kenya in an effort to portray transgender people as ridiculous. Western trend, when a simple search would have revealed that diversity, non-binary gender identities are global and historically related. From the Hijra in India to two-spirit identities in indigenous American cultures, trans spectrum identities are not new. So does it make it, because it's not new right now, it's pervasive? So I'm trying to figure out the point. Does it make it what it's supposed to be because it existed? I don't know. His framing of womanhood as a simple, unchanging notion is not accurate either. While there are some common associations with what it means to be a woman, such as bearing children, every culture and time has a different take on womanhood. It didn't say womanhood. That was the switcheroo. He said what it means to be a woman, not womanhood, because culturally, as you're saying, it's going to change depending on the needs of the culture. But what it means to be uh, a woman, the physical adult female human, I don't think, you know, there's much different across the world. I don't know. And few people will claim that not having children precludes someone from being a woman. Again, the switcheroo. It's the switcheroo for me. And the article is very long. Let me see what else they got going on here. Let's see. A boosting the signal. Let's see here. I'll put the link for this in the box here. Oh, let's just jump down to the conclusion here. Perhaps one of the biggest lies promoted by the film is that the left is unable to answer the simple question, what is a woman? In reality, all the trans supportive people interviewed offered an answer. Walsh just didn't like the responses he got. At least not until he asked his wife at the close of the film. She replied, an adult human female who needs help opening this, as she handed him a jar of pickles. So how is this a thing? What year? What time? Where are we? Y'all tell me where we at. That's kind of, if you haven't heard about if you haven't heard about it, well, here it is. I don't know what world we living in where something so simple is now so complex. Let me see what you guys got going on in the comment section. Let me put the link to to the the clip that you can take a look at. I mean, if it's something that you can just play around with, and today you are and tomorrow you're not, that can't necessarily be what a woman is, right? When people, they try to separate, and I saw this when I was taking a psychology class last year, and I'm like, what are they teaching the children? Like, there's nothing but younger children in the class, and I'm reading this stuff in the gender identity chapter, and I'm like, what is this? Like, yo, I know it's been a while since I've been to school, but what is this? What is it? Peer confusion. If I remember the name of the book, the textbook, I'll share. It was peer confusion. I was like, what are y'all teaching the children? What are you teaching young adults? I don't, it's confusion from the jump. We was in school, it wasn't this confusing. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but my goodness. Let's see here. Nasha says she doesn't like wearing a skirt and cooking. Interesting. We're gonna go there today. Nasha says she does not like wearing a skirt and cooking. So is that what it means to be a woman? Because there are plenty cultures that the man wears what seemingly appears to be a skirt, and it may not be a skirt, right? There's some cultures that men cook. So is that wholly what it means to be a woman, or is that a part of what some cultures ascribe as womanhood? So I'm gonna just be going through some of this. Yeah. A lot of people are offended. If you go right now, it's a popping conversation in a lot of communities. Right now, people are offended, like mad, because this is a big thing, supposedly. Judah says here, I was a tomboy as a child. Should I have been offended at a tiara? We need not be so sensitive about perceived attacks. We have there's real attacks out here, right? So you see a picture with somebody in a blue shirt and a girl on with a tiara, and you're offended. How? Where? What are we doing? How we what? How now has the, like, I'm gonna have to pull a New Testament script. Has the truth offended you? You know what I mean? Like your boy Paulie Paul said. Let me. Has the truth become an offense? Hold on. I want to misquote old Paulie Paul. But there's nothing new under the sun. So one thing the article said that is true is that there's nothing new under the sun. And just because it has been done before doesn't mean that it was right when it was done before either. Hold on. This is some madness right here. Where is it? Now you're going to make me have to go. I know I remember that one. Where he's asking them, has the truth become an offense? Because that's where we are right now. Something that is a plain observable truth has become an offense. Like, how, what kind of question is that? Like, because there's clearly some confusion on the matter. You know what I mean? So we need to know. Okay, I'm not gonna. Yeah. If y'all know it, just drop it in the box below. If you know it, just drop it in the box below. Okay. Uh, I'm actually shocked his documentary, Revenge. Yeah, he's the hashtag petty king. He was like, "Oh, y'all don't want to hear me on social media? Bet." You know what I mean? Ain't nobody gonna answer my question. I'm gonna go around and ask everybody and see what they say, right? So that's kind of the people are like in their feelings about, because why? Because it's a real question. Some will say, "Oh, because you have women reproductive parts, that would make you a woman." So for those who are striving to become a woman, they get breast implant or they have reconstructive genital surgery. Like what is going on? But no matter how you reconstruct, you cannot change XX into XY. No matter how much you change that which is topical, the very core, the very essence, and I have to go into talking about soul and soul stories and soul families, because the very essence of who you are cannot be changed. I don't care what you try to do either way, right? What you inherited, you may not be able to physically pass it on or physically bring another life into existence if you do this, at a certain point. But that doesn't change what you genetically have, the coding that is within you. It will never change, no matter how much you think you to will it to change. It doesn't work like that. So to know that they're encouraging 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds who are not who haven't even finished developing to make such permanent decisions, you have to wonder that something else is going on. Uh, yeah, they could have given him the answer at the start. They could have given him the answer at the start, but they did not. For those who've just joined us, welcome to the conversation. I'm reviewing or bringing light to a documentary that just came out a few days ago by a man named Matt Walsh, who works at the Daily Wire. And the name of the documentary is "What is a Woman?" I think let me go get when they asked the senator. It was a senator or a judge or somebody. Let me see if I could get this real quick. Because when I saw that, and I was like, what is going on here? Why can't she answer the question? Let me see. Let's see if you guys have seen this one. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. She was asked to define woman. This was 2 months ago. Wait a minute. I don't know why. Hold on. I have to get it on the other phone. Because I don't know why. Sorry about that. Let me turn off these notifications. These notifications is going buck wild. Hold on. There's a lot going on. Oh, that's what makes this Dr. Phil appearance. The guy said he was asking the question, and then I saw him on Dr. Phil. Hold on. Let's get the senator. What is a woman? No, she's a judge. Hold on. Are y'all paying attention? Here we go.
To help reduce plastic waste in
Oh
our
man,
environment,
come on
America's
with it
beverage
now.
companies
are carefully designing our bottles
to be 100% recyclable.
That means every bottle that's recycled.
You're stressing me. Hold on. All right.
Can I provide a definition? Yeah. I can't.
Wait, hold on. Let me go back to the beginning.
Definition for the word woman. Can I provide a definition? Yeah. I can't. You can't? Not in this context.
So
I'm not a
the
biologist.
meaning of the word woman is so unclear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
Senator, in my work as a judge, what I do is I address disputes. If there's a dispute about a definition, People make arguments, and I look at the
All right.
law and I decide. So I'm not.
The fact that you can't give me a straight answer about something as fundamental as what a woman is underscores the dangers of the kind of progressive education that we are hearing about.
Stay woke, people. Who was speaking? It was Senator Blackburn, asked Supreme Court nominee to define a woman. Okay, I mean, you could have easily be like, let me go, but it's even changing at Merriam-Webster and all the different. She's asking a Supreme Court nominee. Do you know what kind of educational training program you had to go through? You had to go to regular school. Then you had to go to high school. Then you had to go to college. Then you had to go to law school. Then you had to sit and practice as a lawyer. And you went through all of that. And now you are being nominated for the Supreme Court. And you can't answer a simple question as what is a woman? What in the world? I hope we stay woke. All of this other stuff we over here messing around with. And what's happening, some of the red pill conversation, I mean, unknowingly, is leaning into the redefinition of what a woman is, what a woman requires, and how you should treat all of this other stuff. Same thing it is with feminism. But on both sides, it's starting to cause a bit of an issue. This is where we are right now. Hold on. Let me see the Dr. Phil appearance. So this is kind of the conversation that was happening before this film came out. Let me see what you guys got going on here. Let me see. Okay, let me see if this was 4 months ago.
Today on an all-new Dr. Phil, the dispute over gender pronouns.
I don't identify exclusively with being a man.
Wait.
Use in a singular context for myself. But as you can see, there's an ongoing evolution of language and how people can identify. If you're unsure how to use someone's pronouns after that person has disclosed what their pronouns are, just ask, clarify. I just want to make sure that I'm using your pronouns in the correct way.
Do you know what XIE?
So you say Z.
Z? Mm-hmm. But then there is a Z right below.
Mm-hmm. There's different ways to spell and pronounce pronouns. It's complicated and nuanced, but it's important for us to understand that complexity.
So weird. So when melanated people was out here speaking Ebonics, it was because they couldn't speak properly and they didn't have the right or the autonomy to make up their own language. But here we are, not only in the midst of language being made up, but also being held responsible to understand and communicate in the language that the person just made up. Where are we? Let's continue.
Guest has been criticized online for his views about gender identity. His reply may surprise you. That's next.
Yo, you didn't want to see the new sheet.
You don't get your own pronouns.
So you think it's a delusion if they decide that they're different than they were biologically created?
Yeah, I think it's delusion. It could be mental illness. My name is Matt Walsh, and I've written a book called Johnny the Walrus. This book is about identity and imagination. He identifies as a walrus, and his mom's a little silly. She takes it seriously and thinks he really is a walrus. So she went on her phone, and there were people telling her that this isn't pretend. He's really a walrus. And his mother takes him to the doctor to have him surgically transitioned and gets him walrus hormone pills.
I am so done. No, the guy did not write this book. Yo, now we're going to have to review Johnny the Walrus. This is the first time I'm here. This guy is off the chain. I see where he's going with it, but what in the world? Yo, Johnny the Walrus. I got to go see if what's going on over there.
Eventually tries to drop him off at a zoo to live with other walrus. Not only topping the Amazon charts, my book has taken the world by storm.
Well, you just saw my next guest, author and conservative host of Daily Wire's The Matt Walsh Show, talking about his recently published children's book that has since been removed online by a popular large retail chain. Now, Matt says gender is not a social construct, but rooted firmly in biology.
I mean, you know what's interesting? At the same time that I was taking the psychology class, this is where the dichotomy comes in and the sheer confusion. At the same time that I was taking the psychology class, I was taking the biology class. And as you, so when the psychology class is saying all of these very unrooted and factual things, the biology class is like, nah, bro. X, Y, male, female. I was like, how do you take these two courses simultaneously, pass both of them with flying colors, and not be confused at what's going on in society today? I'm just trying to say, let me go on.
True, absolutely. Well, actually, just to clarify, and with all due respect, but most of what we just heard in the previous segment was total nonsense, which is why when you were pushing for definitions and that sort of thing, they were not able to provide it because it's just nonsensical. Sex, well, as human beings, we have a sex, male or female, but as a biological scientific fact. Now, gender is a linguistic term. Words have gender, people don't.
You're saying that there should be no construct of gender, just sex. You're either male or female.
Right.
And someone feeling in a mental, emotional way that they don't identify with the sex that they have been biologically created as.
Well, either Dr. Phil is lagging today or he's been real particular with what he's saying. His hand is moving faster. He's like thinking really hard, like, what am I about to say? Make sure he don't step in it. Dr. Phil, I see you.
And assigned at birth based on their genitalia. If they don't feel that way, that there's no construct that describes that, experiences that.
Well, that's got nothing to do with the reality. So you can feel however you want. I mean, I could sit here and say that I feel like a tomato plant, but that doesn't mean that I'm actually in those things. So your self-perception, you can have whatever self-perception you want, but you can't expect me to take part in that self-perception or to take part in this kind of charade, this theatrical production. You don't get your own pronouns, just like you don't get your own prepositions or your own adjectives. You know, it's like if I were to tell you,
yo, you got to see the face of the guy he's talking to. Yo, if you guys haven't seen this Dr. Phil episode, definitely check it out. For those who just joined us, there's a new documentary out, What is a Woman? I think the conversation is important and needs to be had. Even if you're not confused about what is a woman, next conversation that is ongoing, especially in certain communities, is what is a woman supposed to do? How is a woman supposed to be? You know what I mean? How is a woman supposed to feel? We see Naasha in the comment section, shout out to you, who's saying that she doesn't like doing things that women do, right? She doesn't like womanly things. Let me go back. I don't want to misquote you. She says she doesn't like to. So is that what it means to be a woman? Where are we? Oh, she likes doing male things like running, biking, living life. Who told who where do we how did running become a male thing? Right? So this is talking about culture now. This is cultural. Like, so if running wasn't for women, then they wouldn't have the capacity to run. You know what I'm saying? Like, her legs couldn't go faster than a speed walk if she didn't have the ability to run. So then somewhere along the line, culture told us, you know, who does what. You know what I mean? Of how it made us feel and how we were able. That's the social construct. What the guy is saying is that gender is not a social construct. How we relate to the sexes is a social construct, and depending on where you are, different things are accepted, right? And so she said she hated the life of a woman, and it may be other things like what it means, what it meant in the culture that you grew up, what being a woman meant to you and to your community, right? So I think that's something that definitely needs revisiting, because like I said, if women didn't have the capacity to run, you know what I mean, then they wouldn't, your legs couldn't move fast. So what's going on, Queen T? Let's continue.
My adjectives are handsome and brilliant. And no matter whatever you're talking about me, you have to describe me as handsome and brilliant, because that's how I identify. It makes no sense. You don't get your own pronouns. That's grammar. That's language.
So you think it's a delusion? Someone is self-delusional.
Yeah, I think it's delusion. It could be mental illness. It could be it's a lot of different things. With children, you know, there's also just a basic.
It's not funny. But he's talking, but the other people are on the stage, so he's not holding any punches as he's having this conversation. Just to see the reaction. It's crazy. Yeah, thumbs up the video. We ain't gonna hold you, you know what I mean, like other YouTubers do, but definitely, in an orderly fashion, let's like, subscribe, and share.
Confusion that all kids have. Like, that's why when you hear a parent say, "Oh, my 4-year-old son came to me and said that I'm a girl now, and so that's what I'm gonna raise him as a girl." No, you're a 4-year-old. I have 4 kids. When a 4-year-old boy comes to you and says, "Oh, I'm a girl," here's a good follow-up question: what is a girl? Ask him what he means by that. What do you mean by girl? And when you ask him that, here's what he'll tell you. He will tell you what he really means is that he wants to do some of the things that girls do, like play with the dollhouse, or he likes the color pink. That's fine. Play with the dollhouse, but you're still a boy. And that's a question I would like to throw out to other members of the panel, actually, because just like the 4-year-old can't answer what is a girl. Well, this is one of the problems with this left-wing gender ideology, is that no one who espouses it can even tell you what these words mean. It's like, what is a woman? Can you tell me what a woman is?
So this question that he is before the documentary comes out. When is this? This is February. So this is before everybody knows the documentary is coming out. And so once again, this is probably when he was poking and prodding on social media. He's asking the question. So let's see if we get a straight answer. Hold on.
No, I can't.
Backside. The man just said, I can't, son. Yo, y'all got me outside with the new mic, within the air condition because it's hot outside, trying not to struggle stream. You understand what I'm saying? How's my mic today, y'all? And the guy just said, I can't. Where are we living, though? Where are we?
Because it's not for me to say. Womanhood looks different for everybody.
What do you define a woman?
How did we get to womanhood? This is what you call the switcheroo. Someone asks you a question, then someone flips the question, and then proceeds to act as if that's the question you asked. He didn't ask about womanhood. He asked, what is a woman?
Yes.
An adult human female.
And what does a female mean?
How do
you define a
someone with female reproductive organs?
Okay.
Someone who's, here's the thing: when you're female, it goes right down to your bones, your DNA. So that's why if someone dies, we could dig up their bones 100 years from now. We have no idea what they believed in their head, but we can tell what sex they were because it's ingrained in every fiber of their being.
Interesting. So I'm trying to understand. Your definition is that a woman is someone who is...
His definition. See, when did something so objective become so subjective? In the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, the insect kingdom, in all of the kingdoms in the earth, you have male and female, masculine and feminine. All of a sudden, the crown of the 6th day, the Most High's creation, does not know how to identify one from the other. Don't tell me so. Don't tell me so. Don't tell me this is how far we are falling. Please don't tell me. I can't believe it.
Is female, you said, right?
Correct. Is a biological female.
So what happens if we have maybe someone who is female, identifies as a woman, right? Cisgender woman, right? As you just explained, maybe doesn't have the ability to reproduce.
Hey, isn't that story all throughout the Bible? Somebody's barren. Does that no longer make them a woman? If they people are playing. Are we out here playing word games? Are we out here playing games? Are we entertaining? How could you fly to the moon? That's what they told us. Judah out here trying to go with them aliens. People on social media saying Earth is ghetto. I don't know. It has some ghetto parts of it. Let's just say that.
Maybe it doesn't have those organs that you're talking about that are reproductive organs.
I have answered the question. You stood up here and said trans women are women.
Yes.
Tell me what you mean. What is a woman?
Womanhood is something that, just as Ethan explained, I cannot define because I am not myself.
You used the word. So what did you mean when you said trans women are women if you don't know what it means?
Right. So here's the thing. So I do not define what a woman is because I do not identify as a woman. Womanhood is something that is an umbrella term. It includes people
that
who
describe
the man. See, and what Matt? You let them. Man, who calling me? Matt. Sorry, peoples. I'm on live. Matt got tripped up. He just switched on you. You didn't ask nothing about womanhood. You asked about women. Okay, John. Also, the idea that the things that each gender does, certain things, is a social construct. It is a certain social construct to a certain degree. because you have some communities where the men are the ones who cook, and in other communities it's the women who ones who cook. In some hunter-gatherer communities, the women go out and gather certain things. So it really depends on your location, what's going on around you, what's accepted in that culture, right? In when he came to the European or the colonizer, his women didn't go out to market, but the people who you took from the continent, their women did go out to market. So when I say that, I mean that when I say social construct, meaning in that society, certain things are acceptable and other things are not. So even when you look at the colonizing thought process, there's a thought process that the melanated woman had more liberties than the European woman. You know what I'm saying? Based on how she saw her reality, oftentimes the European men didn't want to let the woman out the house, period. But if you go to the continent, even in antiquity, you will see women at the market, women at stalls, women engaging in entrepreneurship and business, right? So that's what I mean by when I say social construct. I mean, if you say women breastfeed their children, yes, the women breastfeed their children, but you also had within certain societies women who did not have the capacity to breastfeed. Then you would have something called a wet nurse, which ultimately also would be a woman, right? So certain things are innate, certain things are the description and they're hard and fast, and then other things are not. You know what I mean? So that's what I meant when I said that.
What?
People who identify as a woman.
Identify as what?
As a woman.
And what is that?
Was to each their own.
Father,
Each
give us
woman...
this trend. Do as thy will. What in all of Aleister Crowley is going on? This sounds like do as thy will. This sounds like playing games. If I go to in class and I'm writing a paper and I'm writing a paper and it's talking about, hey, define this thing. And I'm like, it's whatever you want it to be. Whatever you say, like I'm the wife from Coming to America, right? Whatever you say, whatever you like yo, what?
Each man, each person is going to have a different relation with their own gender identity and define it differently. And so trans women are women.
No, somebody must have been in the audience with a sign talking about cue the music, applaud track.
Women, you want to reduce men down to maybe just their genetics, our genitals, our chromosomes, right? That's what you're saying.
You want to do is
reduce. That's the basic building block, bruh. Why does it have to be a reduction? Why can't it be foundation?
What you want to do is appropriate women. You want to appropriate womanhood and turn it into basically a costume that can be worn. We've got when we say it's real funny. It's real funny. It's real funny when you're
right. So man, you're literally saying this is what a woman is.
Yeah, well, because I am willing to define it, but you won't.
Hang on, we've heard how.
Did the guy just say, "Isn't that a little sexist?" What did Bach say? Yeah, said to me, the pendulum has swung too far. The pendulum was too far on one side, and now the pendulum has swung too far on the other side.
Feels about pronouns, but my next guest says those who oppose them are asking.
All right, that's enough. I'm playing that because it's probably I played a lot of it anyway just to get through that point, and hopefully YouTube don't cut up on me for that. So I'm finished playing it right there. Let me see what else is going on here. Then I'm gonna wrap it up. We at the 59-minute mark. Let me run a commercial real quick. I'm gonna open the mic if anybody would like to come up and share their thoughts. That was pretty interesting stuff. You understand? For those who've just joined us, welcome to the conversation. I am going to play a quick commercial break, and then we shall be return. Oh yeah, we on our way to 7K, y'all. We're on our way to 7K. So if you're one of the people who come through and be like, let me see what the moon is doing, and you ain't like and subscribe, man, come on through. Just like and subscribe. You know you want to do it. You know you want to do it. All right. So this show has been brought to you by the Yummy Cottage, as always, as well as the Soul Center. The Soul Center doesn't really get enough shout out in the way in which it does, the way in which it needs to. And I guess because over the years, I'm just tired. there's a lot of people who come to me, Amuna, can you help? Da, 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 da. And I'll be like, hey, yeah, all you got to do is, and then they never show back up, you know what I mean? And you laid out the whole thing, pay for it to be up for multiple years, and perhaps in hopes that somebody will use it and benefit. And so it's still there, okay? The soul center is still there, and that's about discovering your own path and your own healing journey. So if you have any questions about that, the link is in the description below. Where am I? I didn't even play my little background music. It's kind of late in the game for that. So let me just read these last comments, and then we're going to go ahead and boogie. Let's see. Amuna, we're not talking about someone living in the bush. On the edge, they don't got to be living in the bush. Like I said, anywho, by and large, women want men to be the primary providers and protectors, and men, by and large, want women to. What is? Women want men, and men, by and large, want to lead. I mean, okay, but is that what was being spoken about specifically? You lost me because it was a while ago. I'm not saying that we're not inclined towards certain things, but there are some people who are more inclined than others, and that's the whole nature thought of what is a woman. With that, at another time,